Thank you. Andrew Wood was appointed CEO of Worley Parsons in October 2012. He's had 30 years in the resources and energy industry and 20 years with Worley Parsons. Worley Parsons is one of the world's leading providers of professional services to the resources, energy sectors and to complex process industries. Worley Parsons is a global company, nearly 40,000 people, 166 offices in 43 countries. Andrew's been with Worley Parsons 20 years. He's held a number of roles: Group Managing Director in Finance, managing the Australia-New Zealand region, and was responsible as Director of International Operations for expansion into new areas such as Thailand, Middle East, Canada, and Chile. In these days of social media and knowing people very well, or thinking we know them well by reading about them in the press, Andrew's quite a private person. If you search him on the internet, you won't find very much about him. He doesn't have a Facebook page. He doesn't have a LinkedIn page. I suspect he doesn't have a Twitter account. So today's our opportunity to get to know Andrew, and to get to know Andrew in his capacity as CEO of Worley Parsons. Andrew today is discussing a significant opportunity to improve performance of the industry as a whole by adopting some of the latest developments in digital technology. Members and guests, please welcome Andrew Wood to the Melbourne Mining Club.
Thank you, Patrick, and members and guests. I really do appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today. This is my first visit to the Melbourne Mining Club lunch. I did reminisce a little bit that this is the type of group that I really should be pleased to come to, because I haven't had an invitation before. So it must be such an illustrious group, and it looks like a very impressive group of people. I'd like to talk to you about the future for development and operational support of capital assets in the resource sector. When I'm really here to seek your support for driving a change which I believe we need to take on the capital efficiency challenge. It's become increasingly clear to me that the rapid development and application of digital technologies is fundamental in meeting this challenge. Their application will change our industry dramatically. However, before I get started, I'd like to take a moment just to talk about safety. I'd like to share with you how we, along with our customers and partners, are addressing the safety challenge in the development of new underground mines in South Africa. Our involvement followed our acquisition of the South African-based TWP in October 2012. TWP had been involved in shaft sinking projects since 1998. We're all acutely aware of the safety issues that come with this type of work. Our review in the acquisition process gave us clear visibility of the issues and the measures of performance. If it was only about the safety statistics for our business, we would never have proceeded with this acquisition. But we knew that the underlying performance, however much of a challenge it was for us, that with bringing learnings from other industries and cooperation in partnership with members of the industry and country, we believe that we could address this challenge and potentially improve the status quo within the sector. Our fundamental belief is that all work can be executed safely. Zero harm is our corporate goal. Safety is not an area where we seek to retain unique IP. We developed an engagement program with our industry partners in South Africa with the intent to share learnings and identify opportunities for a step change in safety performance. The example I'd like to use is the Impala shaft number 17 project, which you can see a lovely photo of there. This greenfield site required 3 vertical shafts, each of 1,700 metres. At the peak, it had a workforce of around 1,300 people on site. Last year, before we began the engagement process, workers were being injured at a rate of around 1 per week, such that they needed medical treatment. The injury rate is now down to 1 per quarter. It's not 0, but the journey's begun. Now, how have we achieved that change? First of all, it's not we, it's us. We've taken a number of actions, but the key ones are the initiation of project incident review boards with our contractors and our customers. This has lifted the analysis of both the incidents and the near misses, enabling joint ownership and a better understanding of the incident's root causes. This better understanding has allowed us as a group to implement engineering and procedural controls. With the support of industry participants, we've created industry networks, such as the Shaft Sinking HSE network, which provides input and technical guidance to tackle these safety problems. We've also established a forum that brings together the CEOs of the key shaft sinking organisations to commit to and to sponsor direct action for ongoing safety improvement. So it is collaboration and cross-industry learning for the good of the industry that is working in delivering that safety performance. It's also the key to taking on the capital efficiency challenge in the digital age. So what I'd like to talk about today is briefly discuss these challenges, look at where other industries are on their digital evolution, and explore what one of these in particular has achieved, start a discussion on what the digital asset concept for our industry could be, discuss the steps we need to take to begin that evolution, and open a discussion around how we can get started. So the challenges. We all know that asset creation and ownership brings with it many challenges. With the very public blowouts in cost and schedule of a number of large projects across this country, achieving predictable project outcomes in terms of cost and schedule has to be very, very high on that list. Optimising your assets' performance and minimising the impact of outages is a constant challenge, and many of you will recognise the other challenges listed on this overhead. If we're going to meet the capital efficiency challenge, we must seek to find methods that provide increasing clarity for our complex capital decisions and increase our owners' and shareholder confidence in our decisions to make the right decisions. This begs the question, how can we leverage the huge amount of data, information and knowledge that is now available to address these challenges? Or how do we increase the effective collaboration and enable increased speed to market for projects? How can we reuse our data and not keep repaying for its creation? How do we capture value from the information used to create assets across the whole of its life cycle? I want to explore how the aggregation and integration of data, combined with new digital technologies, can address this challenge. But before looking more closely within our own industry, it's worth taking a look at what we've seen in other industries in the last 20 to 30 years. There we go. Why we like to believe that we operate in technically sophisticated industry, there are industries where project delivery and engineering is further advanced in the digital world. We believe there is an opportunity to extract learnings from these industries. For such industries, they've seen improved performance across across the whole of the asset lifecycle, and with their extensive application of digital technologies and an increase in the integration of their information systems. Our minerals and metals customers are telling us we're at the early phase of the digital evolution in relation to project delivery. And as a key supplier in that area, we would agree. We've witnessed industries including aerospace, automotive, defence and nuclear all go through transformative re-engineering of their processes. A good example of this, where we've seen this happen, is in the aerospace industry. The modern airliner project creates a virtual model at the beginning of a project and carries it through the entire life cycle of that asset. The virtual build allows progress through all stages, from design through to flight simulation, before there's any need to build an actual physical aircraft. The same digital model is then used as a basis for the whole-of-life management of that asset. Simulation technology has enabled the use of the virtual world to minimise the risk and optimise outcomes. Reductions in production costs, improved construction schedules, and continuous improvement in asset performance are just part of that story. The value in being able to predict construction and maintenance issues before they become a safety issue is particularly compelling. And I see this is where we can gain instant benefit for our own industry. The aerospace example is sophisticated by any measure, but looking at the resource industry, I believe there are many opportunities with the right know-how and industry experience to leverage the use of data across our asset cycles. Many of our customers in the room today have made significant advancements in automation and optimization of their own operations through integration and aggregation of data, and I'm confident that this approach and thinking could be applied more widely across the asset development process. Building on the aerospace example, we've seen other industries being led by those that have thought about the system as a whole rather than just its component parts. So coming back to our industry, in the current state, we have a phased view of the development and operation of assets, resulted in a fragmented, siloed and disconnected model. When you've got multiple data sources, there are potential for value loss at each and every interface. And because of the complexity of these interfaces, there's a fair chance of a discontinuity in the transfer of knowledge between the phases. We need to move to a streamlined, connected model with a single data platform enabling continuous improvement and a whole-of-life asset approach. Once we have this single home for our data and knowledge, organised within a virtual model of the asset, such that the digital asset mirrors exactly the physical asset for the whole of its life, just imagine what we can do. So imagine a design process that allows specialists, vendors, suppliers, integrators and operators to interact within a virtual model such that the knowledge and previous design effort are captured and new work is done once by the most appropriate person. A virtual project build process that creates a digital asset, then utilises processes that optimise for time and cost for the build of that asset against multiple different scenarios for how to build that project before we even turn a sod of soil in building a real asset. Imagine an evidence-based way to decide the best way to build a project. A visualisation ability that shows the customer how an asset is constructed virtually and then automatically measures and reports against progress against the digital schedule as it's completed. Just imagine a clear, credible process reporting independent of human bias. You can locate yourself on any part of the site or asset, know where you are, and be able to visualise with others how a plant or plant expansion would appear. View the flow of equipment as it's assembled to create that virtual and physical asset. See it as a satellite view, see it as a vendor view, see it as a cash flow view. So just imagine being able to optimise your material flow and your cash outflow to the criteria that you set. So then you move into operation. The digital asset now has its structure created at the earliest beginnings of its life, augmented to contain much, much more than just dimensional information. The digital asset contains your operational, technical, and asset management and human resource data. So imagine, the output of it, the engineering process, is data associated with every component and system, ensuring that you start up with 100% data integrity, such that plants start up on time because the project, asset and process data are all in sync. When you look at a unit operation or component in the field through some form of digital interface, you observe its history, its maintenance history, its performance metrics, its safety issues. That is, operational data is attached to assets. It's stored and analysed and used in an augmented visual reality. When a maintenance crew arrives to inspect an item of plant, they know exactly what to look for, know exactly what they're to do as they follow through their heads-up displays. Maintenance routines are based on data analysis rather than time-lapse. Inventory is accurate, spares are optimised, and work packs are executed in optimised order. So just imagine maintenance decisions underpinned by simulation and modelling. Throughput is optimised, and unit operations are optimised by simulating the operation through the digital plants, perhaps using a probabilistic approach to give you the edge over your competitors. Equipped with a digital interface, all employees are safely guided through their day-to-day operations, warned, coached, and located if recovery is necessary. The entire process can be visualised and reported for variation in unit levels. Each unit level can be visualised down to its component level for performance improvement and investigation. Imagine at any given time the likely scenario for site closure or extension can be simulated on accurate current data. The opportunities are only limited by our ingenuity. The potential benefits for asset owners, we believe that together we can drive costs lower. We can condense construction and commissioning schedules and improve reliability, productivity of the asset. Through just getting data integrity alone, without going through the sophisticated analytics, we believe that you can deliver capital cost savings of 3 to 5% just by reducing the leakage at the interfaces and removing rework. Add to this another 1 to 2% in savings through early spares inventory optimisation. We can also see increased speed to market through reduced project cycle times of up to 20%. Now, I probably shouldn't be offering this as an engineering company, but we believe that reuse of data and design can reduce design costs by up to 70%. With the data in a common source and of high integrity, we can make sure that we access resources and enhance collaboration, irrespective of where they are in the world. We believe you can get increased delivery certainty, better startups, improved safety outcomes. We see these are just the immediate opportunities for performance improvement. So if that's where we want to be, how do we get on to the evolutionary path? The horizons illustrated here are our vision, or roadmap if you like, of how to do that. The immediate Horizon 1 is centred around creating a common data platform or digital architecture for either at the asset level, at the company level, or more ideally at an industry level. The broader agreement on the architecture, the greater the benefit for the industry. This is the basic building block, but as stated before, it can in its own right deliver immediate savings in project delivery. Once we have access to a single data platform, we can apply the Horizon 2 advanced data analytics and bring to bear the many advances in visualisation that's available today. But it's not just visualisation. When you combine that with deep industry knowledge and experience that understands what it's looking at, that will then allow us to drive and improve performance across the life of that asset. Horizon 3 really moves to the application of the significant computer processing power that's available today, which we can only see improving into the future. We can translate what we have in the current model to become real-time, supporting all of our management decisions and future corporate decisions. Horizon 4 is where it starts to get really exciting, because we see with a change in mindset, the introduction of this digital asset model will help drive true innovation right across our industry, creating whole new frontiers of productivity improvement that are probably for the students at the table at the side to help us address in the future. Whether at the early stage of development or well advanced, this framework can be applied to the most simple of projects or the development of the most complex and sophisticated assets. All this will lead to new, much more collaborative ways of working. It's about planning and building in the virtual world first, and having the opportunity to experiment in a virtual environment to get the best out of the real world. The initial goal is to provide an attractive measure of certainty around project delivery, but the future opportunities are only limited by our imaginations. So clearly we see this as an exciting time and potentially a new area in our industry of cooperation and collaboration. We need to help each other and work closely together to make the vision a reality. I want to make it clear that we're not really interested in being the first to market with bleeding-edge technologies. The technologies we are discussing have already existed for quite some time. It's about encouraging and leading the adaptation of learnings from other industries to bring significant benefit of the digital enterprise to solve our customers' biggest problems and help address our capital efficiency problem. I invite you to travel this path with us in taking on the challenge of capital efficiency in a bold new way. Thank you.
Well, thanks very much, Andrew. Now, Andrew has consented to answer a few questions, and I'm sure he's raised many questions from his speech today. So if you do have a question, if you could stand up so that our microphone bearers, Simon Jemison over here and Richard Shoddy somewhere out there, can see you. When you get the microphone, if you could tell us who you are and who you represent, and then ask your question, that'd be great. So we have one over here.
Good afternoon, Mr. Wood. Vanessa Delwar from the Australian Financial Review. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I think so. I'll stand near the speaker. There you go.
Thank you. I'm just wondering how all these improvements in digital adoption, how you envisage that improving your share price?
I was hoping today's discussion was about the industry rather than necessarily about Worley Parsons. We do believe that we can be a significant player in this area. We believe that over the years, we've brought many innovations to the sectors in which we work, and we see this as a natural evolution. And I think if it's good for our customers, it's good for us. It's good for our business. So we see by bringing this technology and bringing this approach and driving productivity improvements in the industry, then we also will have a very successful future.
Thank you. Oh, just one more quick. Can I ask you, this restructuring that you've announced recently, does that have something to do with looking ahead and implementing digital strategies?
Again, I've come to talk about the future of this industry, and I think that, of course, we have to change. Every company has to change and grow and develop, and certainly it's part of our vision of the future and where we're looking to guide our business.
Good afternoon, Andrew. Ian Hall, MMG Limited. My question in terms of the concept you're discussing is the impact this might have on the workforce capability and composition of service providers such as Worley Parsons.
I think that's a good question because I think it does mean that we have to change. I think you'll see what we will see is a greater integration of what's been traditionally seen as IT or IM capabilities with those of engineering. We're seeing it already in some of the universities and how they're addressing the challenge of providing resources into our sector. The combination of or the alignment of the IT faculties with the engineering faculties to ensure that innovation is driven by that sharing of knowledge. So I suspect that what makes up your traditional project delivery organisation, what makes up your ongoing support organisation is going to be a different blend of skill sets, a different blend of people than we've seen in the past. And I think we need to be open-minded to responding to those challenges for the organisation. So yes, I do believe it will drive a shift in the makeup of the people that service our industry.
Hi Andrew, my name's Rachel Eves from Oz Minerals. I enjoyed your presentation. I was particularly interested in the improvements in safety that you discussed, and I wonder if you could give us a little bit more insight into how the safety board worked.
I think there's a few concepts. One which I talked about at the end, which was the ability to provide absolutely up-to-date, accurate information on the tasks that we're asking people to do in the field, so that when they walk up to a piece of equipment, they do have in their hands not only the latest information about that facility or that piece of equipment, but also what risks are associated with it. The ability to transmit data so they know exactly what condition it's in, what they can and can't do. So I think that immediacy and the accuracy of information available to people on site. But you take it right back to the other end and you talk about the application of design. The ability to physically get in and live within an asset before you've put it in place, such that you know that issues of accessibility, that issues of escape, issues of operability are addressed. So that you can basically, using gaming technology, you can live within the asset and make sure that the safety that is of the people that are going to have to look after it in the real world is protected. I think there are many, many opportunities for us to significantly lift safety performance in every step of that process along the life of the asset.
Peter McCarthy, AMC Consultants. Andrew, you mentioned acquiring the shaft sinking firm in South Africa, and there's been, I guess in the last year or 18 months, quite a shakeout in the engineering services provision area and a lot of other service providers, I suppose, to the industry. Do you see, going forward, further consolidation of engineering companies? I guess that's part one of the question. Will that accelerate? Will it slow down? And the second part is, do you see that moving out of the traditional providers into areas like aerospace so that we actually integrate some of those firms that have that expertise into the industry?
First of all, to answer your first question, I don't, in terms of industry consolidation and aggregation, it's been a process that's been going on, I think, since the start of time, and I don't see it stopping, but you know, it goes through ups and downs. I don't necessarily see a massive increase in consolidation in the industry happening in the near term either. Occasionally, one of the one hits the press and we get the story that that aggregation is increasing at a pace, and then it dies. The news dies down for a while. But I think where it makes sense and where you can bring skills together, then I think it will continue to happen. I think as far as the aggregation of knowledge from other areas and other industries, I think that is exactly what we need to look at. But you don't necessarily need to do it by acquiring or merging, but by partnering as well. So I think we definitely should be looking outside of our own industry, considering what others have managed to do, what they've achieved, and be broad enough and humble enough to be able to see that we can learn from others in that process. And certainly that's very much part of what we're looking to do.
Good afternoon. Thank you for your address. I particularly appreciated your practical illustration of mining safety in South Africa. Thank you. However, I'm wondering, in your multiple industries and your multiple countries, where do you see the best opportunities for growth in shareholder value for Worley shareholders?
We have quite an extensive strategy for the growth of Worley Parsons, and again, I'm probably this is not necessarily the venue to give a fulsome explanation, a fulsome answer to your question. I'm more than happy to address that separately. But we believe the industries that we are in, including the minerals and metals business, has a good, strong long-term future, and we believe we have a good, strong future in this sector. As you're aware, we work across a number of other industries, and we've chosen them carefully, and we believe they offer opportunities going forward. We also believe that through bringing innovation, through bringing a new approach to things like the development of projects and looking after assets, using the best available technology from wherever it is in the world, then that will help underpin the value of Worley Parsons to the industry, and therefore underpin the value of Worley Parsons to its shareholders. Because in the end, that's what we bring, that's what we sell. We sell the knowledge, expertise that we are able to gather and apply to help our customers be successful. So this is part of what we're talking about here today, is part of that future. We believe, as I said, we're very well positioned to help deliver that.
Andrew, enjoyed your talk, and I think I agree with the direction. I've got a couple of questions, though, or a couple of areas that I'd like your comment on. It's Gavin Yates from BHP. This will require change, and there's three fronts I'd like your comment on. One is the change within the engineering companies around their commercial models, and billing hours in this world doesn't seem to make sense. So how do you see that changing? In the mining industry, how do you think we're going to tackle but we're different from manufacturing or aerospace, and it won't work here? And probably the last one, which you touched on, is how do we establish the common standards and even common platforms, if that's possible, and should that be industry-wide? What's the mechanism to do that?
All very good questions. Let me try and see if I'll start from the top. Yes, it does mean we have to change, no question. The engineering businesses need to change, and we've recognised that, and we are working that at the moment. In terms of commercial models, I think the digital age will drive different commercial models, as it will drive different people mixes. Have we got the answer yet? No, we don't. So that's something, again, we need to work closely with our customers to understand the value that it brings, how we attract the right people to the sector, and then how do we make and ensure that we create a valuable business for each of our shareholders. So I think there's a lot more work to be done in terms of the value model, but there's one thing for sure, it will not be the same as it is today. The second part of your question, I'm just, how are we going to get the industry to believe that it's not unique, that there are things to be learnt from each other? I think it's an exposure issue that we need to seek out, and that's part of the role that we can bring, or the role that we can play, is to bring the learnings from other industries. We have an extensive nuclear business, which is right up on that top end of that scale. We need to bring that learning and engage at a number of different levels within your customer organisations, such that they can start to appreciate the similarities, not the differences. I think there's an element of leadership that has to be shown as well, that this is the future, and it's remarkable where a leader stands in this perspective will very quickly be emulated by the people that work for them. So I think there's leadership, there's the demonstration of knowledge, and creating the forums that we can start to share. We did it in safety. The safety improvement across industries has improved substantially as a result of sharing those learnings. Why shouldn't we do it in the way we get about ensuring the capital efficiency of our business? And your third question was around getting standards, and that is a great question. I think we have to take it in small pieces. Understand the things first of all, because everybody thinks that they own some IP that is an integral part of their competitiveness, and it's probably true. But there are the vast majority of the things that we do on a day-to-day basis, that isn't true. We're all doing it much the same way. So being able to convince to take a small part of the industry or small section and start with that. Get some people together, talk about how we can set standards, and maybe it's in terms of supplier networks where there's probably a little bit more flexibility in terms of the opportunity to share. So helping lead those networks to identify a small component, and then let's get started. Once we start sharing data and giving people access to information, processes, systems that lie adjacent to their own, such that they feel that they're adding value, I think the sharing will flourish. But we've just got to open up. It's not a very concise answer, but I think we've just got to get started in small places and let it grow.
That's it, Andrew. You're off. Stay right there. Don't move. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the criteria we use in inviting people to address the Melbourne Mining Club is that we tell them we don't want the dog and pony show that goes to the financial institutions and shareholders, even though some of you are here. What we want are speakers who engage with the audience and make them think. And I think today Andrew has done that very successfully. Please join with me in thanking him for a very enlightening speech. Now, this is yours. Oh, don't drink it all at once.
Great, thank you.